Welcome to episode 33 of the Credit Card BS podcast. My name is Sean. I'm the UC Berkeley graduate that created and taught the university-sponsored course on credit card rewards. I'm joined today with my co-host, Sherwin.
Hi everyone, I'm Sherwin. I'm a Stanford student who's really into the credit card, points, travel, miles hobby. Happy to join Sean here today to talk more about credit card rewards. The reason this podcast is called the Credit Card BS podcast, as many of you may know, is because the initials B and S refer to the schools Sean and I attend respectively, Berkeley and Stanford. But as always, we've put aside our differences to talk about credit card rewards. So today's episode is American Express Platinum Card Credits Tier List. Now, the American Express Platinum Card is a very popular card as of late, has a lot of perks, but it also has a huge annual fee of $695. Many people, rightfully in my opinion, describe this card as a coupon book. So Sean, what does that mean?
Yeah, a coupon book meaning we have all these, this very high annual fee, but all these very small to medium range credits that we can use to help offset this annual fee. And the reason this is more of a coupon book as opposed to other annual fee cards is that we have just so many credits and some of them are kind of stupid, to be honest. And so it kind of feels like we're couponing sometimes to get these discounts. But the question today is, we're going to go through all the credits and rank them in terms of, how useful are these credits? Are they actually practically usable credits, or are they trash? Are they basically, an actual coupon? And so that's really why people describe this as a coupon book, is sometimes it can feel like we're couponing as opposed to a standard like hotel card where you just get a cert and it pays for the annual fee and it's simple. This is a lot more work.
Yeah, I mean, the way I think about it is I'm using these credits to help offset the annual fee, and then the remaining perks like the lounge access or hotel status that comes with it become essentially free of sorts. So it's, personally, I would prefer paying a $695 annual fee, can potentially get over $1,000 in credits, rather than pay a $300 annual fee with no credits, because even with a higher annual fee, I'd rather take a lower effective annual fee to credits. But it depends on person to person. What do you think, Sean?
I agree fully. I feel like I would much rather have a very, very high annual fee card. If there's credits that legitimately are able to offset the fee, that is totally fine with me, as opposed to a card that has a low annual fee with no credits to offset it. Because we'll see that sometimes on these base level travel cards where they will have like a $95 fee or maybe a little higher, and there's nothing really to offset it. And so that to me hurts way more than a card that is like $500, $600, $700, but has tangible, legitimate credits that I can use to get outsized value out of.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, sometimes these credits are a big hassle to use. You might end up using it on stuff you wouldn't spend money on otherwise, so you can't really value it at face value. Or they might be broken up monthly or quarterly or half a year. It makes it annoying to keep track of. So, they require more work to be able to get value out of them, but that's sort of like the price to pay to access other benefits without having to pay an effective annual fee, in my opinion. So, people have different opinions on that, but we'll get into more details about whether the credits are actually useful or they're just plain annoying and useless in a bit. Regardless, I usually say that the first year of holding platinum is generally worth it, as long as you can get the sign-up bonus. And try to find a higher targeted offer, like 100, 125, or 150,000 points. Even if you're not able to use any of the credits, those points are worth it, assuming you can use them on good travel partners. And then the second year, you'll no longer have the bonus, but you might be able to get a retention offer if you ask for one. So that's a general strategy. It's sign bonus allows you to try it for a year, see if the credits actually work for you. So I don't know. I feel like it's pretty low risk to try. I think people get scared by a big annual fee, but
I agree. You really have to try and put effort in to not get positive value from basically any credit card in the first year. I mean, you really have to put in some effort to do that. If you reach the spending, you'll get positive expected value for sure. The Amex Platinum as well, for spending day to day, isn't normally very good. So the base is just 1x on everything, which is completely uncompetitive. However, you do get a very competitive 5x on any airline travel that is booked either direct with the airline or through Amex Travel. Additionally, you do get 5x on anything booked through any kind of Amex travel portal. So 5x on hotels and stuff like that. So I feel like that is very competitive
Yes.
because we don't see that on any other credit card. At least that allows it to be booked direct with an airline. Most of these cards that offer a 5x multiplier have to be booked specifically with that company's travel portal, which is a huge negative in my book. Being able to book directly with any airline, any airfare, 5x, very, very competitive.
Yeah, I'm just going to come right out and say that, in my opinion, the multipliers on the Platinum is solid D tier. The 5x on flights is nice, but realistically, most of us are not booking flights for most of our spend. So you would only be getting 1x back, which really sucks. The Blue Business Plus, which gives you 2x for all categories, is much better, or the Gold for certain categories like dining or supermarkets is better, and you can combine all of those points together, which, I think is kind of funny because some people like the Platinum card to flex, but then you're only getting like 1x points when you use it to flex. So it's not a flex in my opinion. It's unless you're getting a sign-up bonus, it's an L in my opinion to use the Platinum card on spend.
I agree. I think in terms of a tier placement, I would give it at least a C+, only because those 5x on flights, I feel like potentially could be very valuable circumstantially. So like if you know someone that's like booking a flight, oh, my camera's shaking. If you know someone that's booking a flight and like if they're willing to put it on your card, that could add up, $1,000 on a flight, that's 5,000 MR points pretty easily. And again, this also counts like if you're paying award taxes and fees on something, like on your, you're booking an award flight and you have to pay heavy taxes and fees. The 5x also counts. And we'll talk about the travel protections in a second, but it is nice to be able to have a card with decent multipliers and some travel protections. So I would personally put that in C+, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Well, now let's move on to some of the other perks before we dive into the credits. We'll go through this pretty quickly because there's so much information online and on YouTube already. So one of my favorite perks and one of the most underrated perks is Fine Hotels and Resorts. It's a collection of hotels, usually on the higher end, though you can get some good deals in certain places like, I don't know, Dubai or Las Vegas, where if you book through them, you get all sorts of perks like $100 food and beverage credit, for guaranteed 4 p.m. late checkout, daily breakfast for 2, room upgrade based on availability. Am I missing anything? So, and what's great about this is that you don't have to be loyal to the particular hotel chain. You get these benefits just by having the Platinum card and booking through American Express, Fine Hotels and Resorts. So I think this is an A tier benefit. What do you think, Sean?
I'm going to agree and put an A tier. I do want to add in a couple of caveats. So one is you can basically mirror the perks of FHR by going through a specific travel agent, any kind of preferred partner agent for any of these major chains. So like basically every major chain has it, where if you go through like their special agents, you pay the same price, the standard rate, and you get special perks. And a lot of times you can mirror the same benefits. But the reason I'll still place it in A tier is because one is the convenience. You don't get to book online when you go through those agents. You have to like email them, call them. If you want to make changes, it's annoying. And also like the consistency is very nice because when you're booking through FHR, like the benefits are pretty standardized. Whereas a lot of time, if you're going through another agent, it's going to depend on the hotel. You might have night requirements, whereas FHR, you don't. And then another thing that's really nice, another 2 things, you earn 5x on all the prepaid spending you do on FHR. Very nice for, being able to earn a guaranteed 5x on your spending, whereas going through other agents, you might not have that. And then also, you can usually stack your elite status with FHR by adding in your loyalty program. So you're being able to, stack perks there, and it makes it very, very nice, very, very convenient for any kind of cash booking. So I would agree, I would place this in A tier.
I would say one difference I've observed between this and other, preferred loyalty or preferred partner booking programs through agents is that Amex FHR does guarantee 4 p.m. late checkout if you book through them, whereas sometimes if you book through like Hyatt Privé or Hilton Impresario or Virtuoso or whatever, they don't necessarily guarantee 4 p.m. late checkout. They might have some sort of late checkout benefit, but sometimes it's just 2 p.m. or it's dependent on availability. This one that's guaranteed. So I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. So cool. I think, we'll both agree it's an A tier. Yeah, so I think the next benefit is lounge access. So Amex Platinum is pretty much the single best card for lounge access. I think most people would agree with that. So you get priority pass, You get Escape Lounge access, you get Plaza Premium Lounge access, and of course, you get Amex Centurion Lounge access, which, this is the most comprehensive lounge credit card that is publicly available, period. So really the only thing that's missing is Priority Pass restaurant access, which you can only get if you have a Priority Pass card that's issued from like US Bank or Chase. But otherwise, very, very competitive lounge access wise. For me, really the only part that really truly matters is Centurion Lounge, because I get Priority Pass from other credit cards, so it's not a big deal to me. Centurion Lounge, though, this is the only card really that can provide it other than a Delta Reserve. And the level of quality is so much higher in a Centurion Lounge than a Priority Pass Lounge. Every time I've gone to a Centurion Lounge, I've had food that is pretty good in quality. I have had no major complaints food quality-wise from a Centurion Lounge. I have not yet been to a single Priority Pass Lounge where I have been legitimately happy with the food. So I think that's the biggest difference for me, in that, any bozo with a Priority Pass card can get into those Priority Pass lounges. But this, an Amex Platinum card is much harder to get, in terms of annual fee wise. A lot of people don't want to pay it. So lounge quality, it's much higher. I would place this also in A tier, just for the higher tier lounge access. How about for you?
I'm going to be a little more stingy in terms of the Priority Pass, since it does not include restaurants and many other cards already have it. That's a solid C tier. In terms of Centurion, I would have given it A tier, but I'm going to bump it down to B tier because they no longer allow guests. The only way you can bring in someone else to the Centurion Lounge is if you add them as an authorized user, which costs like $195 a year or something, or you spend $75,000 on a platinum card, which is stupid because it only earns 1x all spend. So you're giving up a huge opportunity cost, even if you had to spend. I think this was a major devaluation. I understand they're trying to decrease overcrowding, which is a good objective, but I think it just makes it much harder to justify for a family. Everyone has to have their platinum card to get into the Centurion Lounge, basically. So I'm going to have to move the Centurion Lounge down to a B tier. Okay,
I think that's fair.
Yeah. You also get TSA pre-check credit, which so many cards have it. Solid C tier for me. I don't know about
D or C for me. Yeah, I don't really. I'll give it a D plus.
Okay. Hotel status. So just by having a card, you get Marriott Bonvoy Gold status and Hilton Gold status. I don't know about you. I feel like the Hilton Gold could be useful because it comes with the food and beverage credit in the US / continental breakfast abroad. Gets some room upgrades. I think the Bonvoy Gold is not as meaningful. You have to have platinum to get free breakfasts. Also, I think upgrades are iffy, both with Marriott and Hilton, as opposed to other chains like Hyatt. What do you think?
I agree. I totally agree that Hilton Gold's way more valuable than Bonvoy Gold, because there's actually tangible benefits with Hilton Gold in terms of the breakfast or food and beverage credit. I overall, I'm going to rate this benefit as like a B tier, because I feel like for these cards, there's better ways to get the status. You could get Bonvoy Platinum with the Brilliant card, and you can get Hilton Diamond with the Aspire card. And so to me, if you're playing this game long term, it makes more sense. It is nice to have like some kind of broad status if you're just playing it more casually. Yeah. And I feel like that's what they're going for with the Platinum, is it's like if you had to get a single card with the most broad range of perks, that is going to be the Amex Platinum card. I don't think anyone can question that. So yeah, it is nice to have that. But given that you can get these statuses other ways, B tier perk.
I would agree, B tier. But I think it is nice if you don't plan on having a bunch of hotel cards or whatever to get like a good baseline status. These chains. Yeah. There's also Hertz Gold Plus and National Emerald. Those are car rental statuses.
I do want to. The Hertz is President Circle. I want to clarify. That's okay. Yeah, which is the top tier.
Oh, is it? I thought President Circle was given on Venture X and the Gold Plus was given on Platinum card.
I believe it used to be the Gold Plus and the Platinum, and then it changed to President Circle. I could be incorrect on that, but I do very specifically remember there being a change where President Circle was the new benefit on the Platinum, because that's a big deal to me, because then you get access to the President Circle lot, which is significantly improved over Gold Plus.
I mean, either way, how valuable do you think this benefited?
Okay, I feel like for me, the President Circle is pretty valuable, because if you're going to an airport with a big lot, you can book a mid-sized car, and pick any car in the President Circle lot, which could be a much nicer car. You might be getting like a BMW, Mercedes, Jaguar, or something like that, or a nice big SUV. So I feel like to me that's actually pretty valuable because it's, a harder perk to get than Bonvoy or Hilton status, because there's so many other ways to get Bonvoy or Hilton status that are arguably better. But for this, I mean, it's really just this card or the Venture X, or if you're doing status matching. So then, which is a whole other ball game entirely. So I feel like this, I'm going to give a B+ to, just for the Hertz President Circle. But I will say it's more situational than the hotel status. I feel like it's very situational, but I'm just giving it that higher tier because it's a more unique perk.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like for me, it's not as valuable because most savings I get are from like discount codes on rental. So like the car rental status is more marginal at that point. But it's definitely nice to have, but it's not the reason I get or don't get this card. I'll just put it that way. Okay, let's move on. There's also a concierge service, so you can call to get restaurant reservations, potentially help with other requests. I personally never used this. Sean, have you used it?
I'm giving it F tier. I've tried to use it a couple years ago. Completely useless. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be useful, but for me, in my experience, wasn't worth my time. I'm just gonna rate that as useless.
I'm also the type of person that likes to book my own travel and do a lot of research myself, so I don't really use other people's services to help me do that. So I feel like it's hard for me to rate this, but potentially useful for some people. There's also travel and purchase protections that come with on this card, much like other premium travel cards. I'm going to come out right here and say this is a solid C tier. The travel protections are just much better on the Visa Infinite cards, like Chase Sapphire Reserve, US Bank Altitude Reserve, etc. I'm sorry, but I'm not saying the platinum travel protections are bad, but if we're paying this high of an annual fee, I expect better.
I think that's totally fair. I feel like for me, one of the things that does, even though the actual like stated perks might not be as good, you are dealing with Amex as opposed to another bank. And so the reason that can be good is you'll typically find higher levels of customer service with Amex. So I've never used the travel protections, but I've used the purchase protections twice. One for return protection, which I did not have any issue getting honored. And the other one wasn't a return protection, it was just like a general purchase protection where I had bought a hard drive to store some footage on, and I believe that hard drive had been stolen at a certain airport somewhere in Asia. I won't say where, and I told Amex, and I'm like, yo, this was stolen out of my bag. I had it with me. I did not let the bag leave my site except to go, check it in at the airport, and then I pick it up and it's gone. And they were like, yeah, sure, no problem. And I got a refund. So that was nice. My experience has been very frictionless with them. So I feel like B to B- is a fair in my book is what I do, but I totally understand that on paper the other cards have better travel protections.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Amex has a good reputation for customer service compared to other places. So I will give them credit for that. But come on, like not even having primary CDW included, that's kind of a joke for this level. I mean, Chase Sapphire Preferred, which has a $95 annual fee, and the Bill Card, which is a $0 annual fee, have primary CDW. You're saying this $695 card doesn't have it? That's kind of a joke. I think, there are some other parts. I can't remember all the details, but I know for sure it's weaker. I'd rather put stuff on my, Visa Infinite cards. It's much safer. Though, it's annoying because 5X on flights is really good, but giving up some of those protections, putting on... I think they've improved over years, especially after the Chase Sapphire Reserve came out. They've improved, but I still don't think they've caught up. Okay, let's move on to, I guess, the last main benefit we can talk about are like the MR points, which we know to be very valuable. I'll just say that I think this is an S tier benefit, though it's not unique to the Platinum card. You can earn MR points through other cards. The multipliers on this card are, D tier, but I think the MR points ecosystem is a solid S tier. You can get a lot of value.
Totally agree. Again, it's not unique to the Platinum. You can get no annual fee Amex cards that earn MR points, but being, just in general, that is an S tier benefit because MR points are by far the most valuable currency for redeeming for flights. Arguably, overall, the most valuable currency across any of them. The exception being Chase with Hyatt, of course, is so strong. But to be honest, with how easy it is to earn Amex points, the variety of transfer partners, and the transfer bonus frequency, you could totally make an argument that Amex points are by far the best points of any major bank, if not number two.
So now that we've talked about the benefits, let's get into like the meat of today's episode. It's about like, are these credits to help offset the fee actually good? I personally, I would not pay $6.95 for all the benefits we talked about so far. I think it's a bit steep. I can totally see someone thinking it's worth it for your travel use case, like if you frequent the lounges a lot or whatever. But that alone, I don't think is enough for $6.95 fee, which is where all the credits come in to help subsidize that fee, so those benefits can feel a little more free. I don't know, Sean, what do you like? Would you pay $6.95 just for the benefits? No
just
credits?
For the benefits, no way. No chance I would pay for that. I mean, especially because a lot of these benefits you can replicate with other cards. You can get Hertz President Circle from Adventure X. You can get status from other cards. You can get Priority Pass from other cards. The only thing you're really missing out on that's unique to the Platinum is the Centurion Lounge access. That's the only perk that cannot be replicated on another card. I mean, their Delta Reserve, I'm not even really going to count that as being able to replicate it because you have to fly Delta. So only perk, but for the credits, the story does change, arguably. I would say so.
All right, let's talk through the different credits and whether we think they're worth it. Okay, let's begin with the $200 airline fee. So this is, you get to pick one airline each year for which the credit counts toward, and then you're supposedly be able to use it on things like baggage fees, seat upgrades, like incidentals, officially not anything like the ticket cash price or something like that. So Sean, what do you think about this credit?
I'm giving this as one of the S tier credits of the Platinum, and everyone's like, why? Like, it's incidentals. Like, it's not incidentals. Anytime someone says like, oh, I couldn't use my incidental credit because like I didn't check a bag, I get so mad. I get so triggered because it's one Google search. Google how to use Amex incidental credit for airfare, and you will get like 10 different blog articles that fully explain it with like current data points. Okay. It's very easy, at least at time of recording, to be able to use this credit for more kind of direct airfare, okay? It doesn't work for all airlines. It doesn't work across the board, but there are methods that it makes it pretty good and pretty close to airfare, notably on United and Southwest. So to me, I'm basically able to get the full cash value out of it. So for me, that's kind of how I'm going to value these credits. If I can get full cash value out of it, that's an S tier credit. So for me, at least, very, very valuable. How about for you?
I agree. I would also say face value for me, based on how I'm able to use it on Southwest. I'm only going to give it A tier because there are hoops you have to jump through to be able to use it. That's not as straightforward as it just being $200 airline travel credit for anything. But yes, I agree with Sean. There are definitely ways to use it where it's closer to face value, even if you don't check bags or do seat upgrade or all of that stuff. But also, these are all this is a calendar year credit. So one hack I use is if you open the card in like November, for example, you can get the credit for that year, and then when January hits, you can get another credit following year with the same annual fee cycle because it's based on calendar year rather than card member year.
Yeah,
so
that's
if you're at the end of the year when you're listening to this, you haven't used it, use it now.
Yeah. So, okay, the next benefit is going to be the $200 Uber credit. Now, this one is much more annoying to use because the airline fee, you could, at time of recording, you can use that all at once in the whole calendar year, basically, right? Or like at least, even if you're making smaller transactions, there's no like, oh, you have to use it per quarter, whatever. The Uber is a monthly credit. It's $15 a month, and then I believe,
it's like 35 in December.
35 in December. Yeah, it's weird. So it totals to $200. And it works for any Uber purchases. So it could be Uber Rides, it could be Uber Eats, it could be Uber Eats Pickup. Now, it's a bit of a mixed bag here because if you're someone that takes Uber once a month anyways, for sure it's an S tier credit. Now, I usually don't take Uber once a month. And one of the big limitations for this credit is it only can be used in US dollars in the United States. So to me, that's a huge, huge negative because most of the time if I'm taking Uber, it's in another country and then I can't use the credit. So I frequently use it for Uber Eats. Now, I think a lot of people are going to complain Uber Eats, oh my God, all these fees and all that. The two things I'll note is you can use it for pickup, which really, is going to have minimal fees. And two, sometimes Uber will have these like great promos of like, 40% off up to like $15 off your meal or 50% off up to $20 off your meal. And that like offsets all the fees. So I think it's a pretty decent credit. And it does stack if you have like multiple Amex cards. The credits do stack in the same Uber account. I will give it a B tier credit wise. I cannot say I'm getting the full cash value, but I don't think it's a garbage credit. I think it's fairly tangible. How about for you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that it expires every month, like if you don't use it. Downside, but I will say of the credits that are offered, it's one that I'm like fairly consistently able to get some value out of. I usually do a pickup order once a month from Uber Eats because for rides I prefer Lyft. But like you can probably get like one item at a restaurant once a month if you do pickup, so you don't have to pay the delivery fees. That being said, a lot of times because Uber Eats will take a cut, the restaurants do price their items higher on Uber Eats than if you booked directly with, not booked direct, but if you order directly with them. So I have to discount it a little bit, but I think it's somewhere between A and B tier for those reasons.
I agree. That makes sense.
Okay, next credit is the hotel credit, $200 hotel credit. This is not a credit you can use at any hotel or even any hotel in the Amex portal for that matter. It is a $200 credit for prepaid bookings, Fine Hotels Resorts program, which we talked about previously, and the hotel collection, which is another sort of premium, but not as premium as FHR sort of booking system they have. Shao, what do you think?
I think this is a pretty strong credit. I'm not going to give it S. I'll give it an A tier because if you have the Platinum card, presumably you would be using FHR at least once a year, for a lot of people. And FHR is a good program to book with. A lot of times, if I'm going to book cash for a hotel and I can book it through FHR, I almost always would choose to book it with FHR over an equivalent. So I feel like it's pretty good value. The only negatives I want to say are that, they've recently implemented a change where, like, let's say you want to use it because FHR is a prepaid booking service. So you prepay for the hotel. So let's say it's like October and I want to book a hotel for, next July or something. Now, normally you previously were able to do that just fine and prepay for the booking, but they could change this at any time. But recently they've made it where you can't like book far into the next calendar year until like right before the end of the current calendar year. So that is a bit annoying. So like that's, you'll have to factor that in if you're booking a hotel far away. But overall, I feel like the perks in FHR are strong. Using the credit, it's enough to where it's a meaningful credit because you can book some FHR hotels, very few, for under $200 a night for like the base rate. But even if you're paying a little more, I think you're not paying that much more. It feels like a tangible credit. I like it. It's not perfect, but good enough to be A tier. How about for you?
Yes. I mean, I generally don't use the strategy of booking next year because if you do that, once you get into next year, you can't really change or cancel. Or even if the price drops, you can't really change it because then it would reset the credit from the previous year, which is no longer available to you. So I don't use that method. I will say this is also an A tier credit. People complain that, $200 is not enough to book most of the hotels in FHR hotel collection. I generally agree. But if you go to like Las Vegas, there are definitely dates and options where you can pay very little out of pocket. When you factor in like the food and beverage credit, the breakfast credit, stuff like that you get with FHR bookings, you can engineer this out so that you are in the green at the end of the day. So I think it's a solid credit that I'm always surprised when people have the Platinum card but are still not using FHR. I think it's such a great benefit. So that's my take.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good take. So the next credit is the $240 digital entertainment credit, broken up into $20 a month increments. Now, it's not a good credit, I'm gonna say. I mean, the amount of services you can use this with is so limited. So it's like you can use it with Hulu, you can use it with Audible. I think you can use it with Disney Plus, or it's like you can do the combo with like Disney Plus and Hulu. You can use it with SiriusXM, the radio. You can use it with New York Times and Peacock. Is there any other I'm missing that are major ones?
I think that's it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to give it a C tier, to be honest. I mean, I totally see the use case. Like, if you're someone that pays for Disney Plus and Hulu, awesome. That's an S tier credit then. But it's not the most useful. I feel like if you're someone that doesn't know how to use the credit, and if you just like, let's say the Platinum card makes sense beyond this credit and you're not sure how to use it, I think the best case is buying Audible, because Audible credits stack up to a rolling 12-month period. So you can like save up like 10 Audible credits and then buy 10 audiobooks and not have lost out by not using the service those 10 months. So Audible's a really good way to stack it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
So, yeah, that's what I did. I've bought Audible for a
Okay.
while, but I would say it's a C tier just because I could totally see someone arguing it's an S tier credit though. It's just dependent on what you're going to buy with it. For me, I feel like I am forcing myself to use the credit. So, it's nice to have Audible and stuff, but I'm forcing myself.
I mean, for me, currently it's better than a C tier for sure. I mean, I would say it used to be a C tier until they added Disney Plus. I think that is something much more tangible than the other previous options that were there. I've been able to do like $4 a month New York Times subscriptions. Those have worked fine. But I think Disney Plus is quite valuable. A lot of people would get it regardless of whether they have the credit, so it kind of offsets it. I definitely cannot value it at $240 a year. I would significantly discount that, but I don't think it's enough. Given that Disney Plus is an option, I don't think it's nothing. I think previously it was pretty bad, but it's also not like the reason I get this card, right? But it does help. So I'm gonna say A to B tier. Definitely C tier before they added Disney Plus, but now it's more like A/B tier.
But that makes sense. I can see how someone argues that. I think it's all situational.
Yes. Okay, the next credit we should talk about is the $189 Clear credit. So Clear is a service where you kind of pay an annual fee and then you get to like cut the line at the airports because they use these biometric machines to verify your identity, and then you can cut past everyone, potentially save you a lot of time at the airport. Sean, have you used the service? How useful have you found it?
I've used the service many times. It's a service where you are 90% of the time going, why am I paying for this? I am not getting any tangible benefit. I could have just gone up to the front of the TSA line in the same amount of time. And then the 10% of times where you are using it, you're going, thank God I am paying for this service. I just saved half an hour in that stupid TSA ID check line. So I recommend it. It's something most of the time you're never going to use. It's like a lifeline, though. When you need it, you're really, really happy you have it. So it's good. For this credit, though, I will say it's either an S tier or an F tier credit. It's both simultaneously. And here's what I mean by that. If you have no other cards that pays for a Clear credit, I think it could be an S tier credit because I think it's something anyone that's a frequent traveler should have Clear. And you can get, if you're a student, you can get decent pricing on it. Yeah, I think you can get $50 a year if you're a student. And then you can add your family on it.
Remember?
The
student discount no longer exists.
I keep forgetting that. Okay, but you can like add. Sometimes you can still get discounts. I think.
Yes, you can add family members for like $60 or $70 a year.
I think it's like 70 now.
Yeah.
But I think if you're someone that doesn't have a card that pays for it already, totally, I could see it making sense. My problem with it now is Amex is like, let's have every card pay for Clear. And so I have 4 Aspires that all pay for Clear. I have a the Biz Gold doesn't pay for Clear. The Green pays for Clear. And then I have a Platinum that pays for Clear. So I have too many Clear credits. I can't use them all. So for me, it's now a useless credit. However, totally, I think as like a balance, I'll give it a B+ tier because, for most people, you probably aren't going to have a million cards that pay for Clear. And I think it's a very valuable service that most travelers should have.
Yes. Okay, here's my nuanced take on it. I do think Clear is underrated in terms of the time it has saved me in the airport. However, I would never pay $189 a year for this service. In a sense, it's kind of meaningless, like the biometric stuff they check. I mean, come on, that's not the reason we pay for it. We pay for it to skip the line, not because we want to use their cool technology or whatever. So I think it is not worth $189. But if I treat this as one of the benefits of the Platinum card rather than the credit, it makes sense to me. So I think about this not as this is worth $189 that offsets the annual fee, but as one of the benefits that the other credits help offset for, if that makes sense. So I think you could potentially stack this with other cards if you have a family to get everyone clear. So like, for example, the first person uses the Platinum card, the $189, and you can add a family member for $60 or $70. So you could get like a Hilton Aspire, for example, to charge those family members to. I think it's great. I also think, like if you are interested in this and want to credit but don't want to get the platinum card, I think the Hilton Aspire is actually a really good option. We've talked about it a lot, but they've recently added a 189 clear credit onto it as well, which I thought was a huge improvement over having Party Pass, since everyone already has Party Pass. So yeah, that's my take on it. I see it more as a benefit rather than as a credit. So therefore, it's not worth 189 to me. However, clear is an underrated benefit. That's my conclusion.
So what would you give it as on a tier list?
I think it's A tier.
I think that's fair.
But it's not 189, but it's an A tier benefit.
The next benefit, oh God, is the Walmart Plus credit. Everyone's lining up for this one. This is Amex's, everyone's favorite credit from Amex. So you get $155 a year to pay for monthly Walmart Plus. Okay, it's like Walmart's subscription service to get like free delivery or faster delivery, whatever. This is basically, I want to say F. I'll give it D. I'll give it a D tier because there is utility in it. If you shop at Walmart, which every Amex Platinum card holder is known to shop at Walmart all the time. That's why they added it. But so if you shop at Walmart, there's utility in it. I won't say there's no utility. It's something, but I would never, ever, 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 ever pay for Walmart Plus personally. So I'm going to give it a D tier. And there's other cards as well, Amex cards that pay for it. So stacking, it's even worse because I could just pay for it on a different Amex card that I have. So there's no, extra utility from the Platinum. But what are your thoughts?
Okay, it's not the best credit, but I don't think it's as bad as Sean is making it out to be. So in my opinion, I think Walmart Plus is kind of like Amazon Prime. You get like free delivery on stuff. It could be useful. I've ordered from it a number of times when it's cheaper to Amazon. I do not use it nearly as much as I do Amazon. So definitely do not value it at $155 or whatever. That being said, I don't think this is useless. There are times free shipping helps. Walmart, you also get Paramount Plus through Walmart Plus. If there's any content on there you like, but perhaps you could derive value from it. It's not nothing, but it's not the best credit. So yeah, I think I would give it more credit than Sean is giving it, but it's not, I'd say a B tier.
I think it's fair. I'm going to stick with my D tier, but I can totally see your argument.
Okay, next credit is the $100 Saks credit, broken up into $50 per half calendar year, not card member year. So you get $50 from January to June to use that Saks, and then $50 from July to December. So Sean, when's the last time you bought an item that was exactly $50? That's
okay. I will say actually there are some items that are $50. The problem is now Saks doesn't participate in ShopRunner anymore, so you don't get free shipping unless you reach $100. So the most recent item I bought was actually like $50, but then after tax and shipping, it was $65. So I had to pay $15 for it. So that's the biggest thing for me that's a negative. I will say, for me personally, the credit does have some marginal utility. I had no utility for it until I discovered Aesop sells their products on Saks, and I like Aesop products. So I have been using that to buy like an Aesop item every half year, and it's not tangible. I'm not going to pretend it's tangible, but is it fun? It's kind of fun. I like it. It's cool to get it. You can stack it with Rakuten. When Rakuten has their like 15% cash back or 15x MR sale or bonuses, I guess. So that's nice. The shipping cost is annoying. You can use it in person if you're near a Saks store, but it does not work at Saks outlet stores. So just remember that has to be specifically a Saks Fifth Avenue store. Very
the
situational.
Saks Fifth off does not work. So don't make that mistake.
I'll give it a C tier.
C?
Because I enjoy. Look, Walmart Plus, I get no value out of. Okay, this at least I get something. It's a little fun. It's not tangible, but is it fun? It's fun.
Okay, I think it's annoying that's only $50 per half because it's hard to get stuff at Saks for $50. But what I've been doing is going to physical Saks stores and getting $50 gift cards, which I can then group together once I've accumulated to get something more substantial at Saks. I'm not a Saks shopper or anything, but sometimes my mom will find something that she wants to buy. So it's fine. I think it's more tangible than some of the other credits. I agree. Not the most useful, kind of annoying. but I'll use it if I have it. Like that's kind
So
of
what tier would you give it then?
So I'll say a B tier.
Wait, you're giving it a B tier? I thought you were gonna go lower
Yes.
than me. Okay.
I
Wow.
do think it's tangible though, because like it's more tangible than like the subscription one, like because
That's
you
fair.
are getting real
physical
merchandise.
item back. Okay.
I think assuming that my gift card strategy still works, it's fine. But
Okay.
yeah. But you
So-
do have to go physically. Like if you buy a gift card online, it's not gonna work.
Okay, so the next credit is a very controversial one. Is the $300 Equinox credit. Now, this sounds like wow, $300, but the problem is you have to use it. Like you can't use it at an Equinox store. You can't use it for most things. It's either for the Equinox app, which is for wait, hold on. Okay, it's a little weird. This is like very weird how this works. Okay, now I remember. The credit used to be when it first came out as like $25 a month, which was completely useless. Okay, like that was like you get the app for $15 a month. Great, I'm paying $15 for the Equinox app. There was nothing tangible you're getting, but they have significantly improved it to where, and I could be wrong on the specifics, but it's a $300. You can use it all at once credit, and it works, I believe, for the Equinox app still. It does work for single club membership at Equinox, which previously it did not. It does not work at the Equinox store or anything, but it does work at single club memberships. And the reason that's interesting is you can purchase a single club membership to Equinox for about $200 a month. So, and there's certain promos they have. If you have a certain employer, you went to a certain school, you can waive the down payment of that Equinox membership. So you won't have to, it will just be $200. Now, there is a 12-month monthly contract. However, prior to buying your Equinox membership, you should confirm with the salesperson that there are certain exceptions which allow you to get out of the 12-month contract. Notably, if you are going to be out of the country and will be unable to use your membership, they will waive, at least in my experience, the contract. So the only proof you need is some kind of flight reservation. Okay, hop on Southwest, book a flight reservation that's fully refundable using your Southwest points and, already have your Southwest travel credit. And, send it their way. Great, my contract, I'm now out of it, and I've just gotten 1 month of Equinox membership for free. It's a bit complicated, but I have done this, and it has worked. And I have gotten the credit back. I had like 2 months of Equinox membership because I had a vanilla plat and a Schwab plat, and you could, combine the credits.
And how many times did you visit said Equinox?
Okay, here's the problem. Okay, the problem for me is that the Equinox is not like it's like a 25-minute drive each way. So it's not it was always like, God, I gotta go use this. I didn't visit it much. Okay, it was not a frequent thing. Went a couple times. It was fun. I think one other really cool thing though is, at least at the one I went to, they said they were willing to split one of my months into 2 different cards. So like I had, $300 on one card, $300 on another card. It was a $200 a month thing. They would have been willing to do that. Very complicated, but I'll give it B tier because it has some use. Some. If you want to get 1 month of Equinox, you can do it. If you want to use the app, you can do it for a few months. I won't say it's totally F because there's some use. Maybe you could argue D- tier, but some use. Okay, I went on a bit of a rant there. Sherwin, because I had experience. What are your thoughts?
I think the extensive nature of your commentary illustrates the absurdity of this credit. No, it's like, okay, Equinox
D-.
memberships,
I'll downgrade to D-. I'll give you that.
Is what, like $200 to $300 a month for the base. 300 credit is not really going to make a dent. Yeah, you could jump through all those hoops to get 1 month and then not go actually during that month. Seems like if I spent all that time you spent to figure the Equinox thing out, I could make more than $300 doing other stuff. This is solidly zero value for me. I could see it makes sense for some people who would otherwise pay for Equinox and are in like a major city or there are Equinoxes readily available. I think that's the only use case. For the rest of us, I think it's a 0. For most people, it's 0 for me. You can, cope yourself to thinking you got value. I don't think so. 0.
It was fun to try. I'll give it. It was fun to try. You can use the app though, so you could like.
I feel like the value derived out of that experience was the amusement of it, and not the value of Equinox itself.
You might be right. I will say, like, certain people, though, it is a situational credit. Like, if you are someone that pays for Equinox, that's an S tier credit then. Like, there's no debate. That would be an S tier credit. For most people, no value, but that's why I'll give it a D-. It has value. Some people in some circumstances.
Sure. F tier for me. Let's move on. Last credit is $300 at SoulCycle. My understanding is that just $300 off anything is like $300 off like a particular thing that costs thousands of dollars and therefore is worth $0 to me. F tier.
I'll give it an F tier.
Your take?
No, okay. F tier. We don't have to debate that one. I think the only interesting thing, I think like you can use the discount like multiple times. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like I read something where you could actually like that multiple times. So unless you're like someone and your like office is buying a bunch of SoulCycles and you convince your boss to use your Amex Plat,
oh my God,
full F tier. I'll give it an F tier. We don't have to debate this one.
Okay. I think we've got a little overtime here today, so I think we'll wrap it up here. Let us know your thoughts about which credits do you value, which credits do you think are useless or absurd. Let us know in the comments below. Sean, do you want to close this out?
If you want to connect with an elite group of award travelers 100% for free, check out the Travel Lane Discord group at the link in the description. 100% for free. We will drop deal alerts, award availabilities, all these cool things, 100% for free. And if you want to help support the podcast directly, by far the best and easiest way to do that is if you're applying for any credit cards, just to use our affiliate links, also at the link in the description. Doesn't cost you anything. Make sure the offer is competitive, but it helps us out so much. You have absolutely no idea. So we hope you've enjoyed so much, and we will see you next week.
Thank you. Goodbye.